So with the final shape era finally coming to an end, the episodic weapons that we have acquired will be going away, and we are unsure if their weapon acquirement will be changed or reprised in some way. So I want to cover over some weapons that you should have before the Edge of Fate has arrived, and things you should seek ahead of time, things that came from episode Act 1, 2, and 3, because those weapons do have a very good prominent playstyle that people still use and will continue to probably use into Edge of Fate until we may or may not get a replacement for everything. So I'll cover the episode weapons first, and then we'll see other weapons that you could acquire. So when it comes to the weapons we got from episodes Act 1, we had the Conductor episode. With those, we got a good amount of weapons like the Veiled Threat and Sideline Survey. We had Law Signal and other things. But what are the go-to options you should have gotten or still need to get? Well, with the episode coming to an end, despite the fact that we will be getting a new rocket-assisted sidearm in Edge of Fate, with similar perks Aberrant Action, we aren't sure how much better or how much worse it would be, so things you should be trying to get is Aberrant Action. I'm fully on board with the whole Heal Clip Incandescent roll. It's amazing ad clear, it's phenomenal, it'll keep you alive, and it's very powerful at dealing with things like elites and stuff like that. It's also anti-barrier at the moment. When it comes to other weapons you should be getting, we were given Lost Signal. Lost Signal was the first area of denial we were given, which is one of the best frame types we have ever been given. With this, it is very dependent on the user, but this weapon should be used for boss DPS. Auto-loading holster and Vorpal weapon are really good. If you can get one for all to work, good for you. A lot of fights you can't get it to always work. One more thing you could probably get that, while it may not be the best option, is a really good pick, would have to be the Machine Gun, which is the Spellologist. It is a really good solar rapid fire frame LMG, and with the whole point of it also getting things like Stats for All and Heal Clip and Incandescent and Killing Tally. This is just a solar variant of a weapon that we already have, which is similar to like Commemoration and Corrective Measure, which give us the ability to deal with ads, but at the same time give us some form of a support perk. I'll cover Heresy weapons. Now, when it came to episodes Act 2, which was Revenant, we saw a reprisal of the Garden of Salvation's weapons and the weapons that itself came from Revenant. While none of these were craftable, all the Garden of Salvation weapons were. So when it came to the weapons that I think people should acquire and use, it is very, very dependent on the person, but these are a fair assumption for most. Things like the Liturgy. The Liturgy is one of, if not the best double fire we have gotten, since it does get Envious Arsenal and Chill Clip, which is phenomenal for damage rotations. Other weapons that you could acquire is the Bittersweet. This is, if not the best arc GL we have in the game. Bane Switch is just a phenomenal perk because of how much it's been power crept into usability and overall power strength. Other weapons that you could get, but you do not have to acquire. But one of the go-tos is the addition of Tanisha's Mastery. Tanisha's Mastery is one of the strongest rocket-assisted sidearms we've ever been given, really. It has Chill Clip, Loose Change, Chill Clip, and whatever perk. It's usable on everything. This one weapon alone can deal with 3 champions by itself: Barrier, Unstop, and Overload. And when it changes over to the next Edge of Fate, sadly, it will lose Barrier, but it will still have Unstop and Overload. It's overall really strong and really powerful. Other weapons included with this came the Vespers Host weaponry. With the Vespers Host weaponry, we got one of the best, if not the best, auto rifle in the game, that being the Vespers Pyroelectric Propellant. This weapon easily outclasses the Prosecutor and the Shadow Price by a long shot because of the fact it has jolting feedback, and it's also a really good frame type. Now, as you saw, I just dragged a weapon over. I only have one of these that I really like. The other weapon is the Vespers Velocity Baton. When it comes to this weapon, this is and has to be the best GL in the game for making orbs. Due to it being another arrow denial frame, it has attrition and demo. Other things you could go for in it are destabilizing rounds and repulsor brace if you want a more damage roll, but overall this is a support weapon for me specifically. But what else could you have gotten during this season? Well, all the weapons in Vespers Host are phenomenal. That includes the Versus Chill Inhibitor, or the Vespers Chill Inhibitor. Since this one has Bait and Switch, Envious, Spike Nades, so good. It's a phenomenal roll. You could also go for Bait Cascade Point, but I still think Envious is the better perk option there, purely because you're able to, well, basically reload it from nothing. Other than that, during this season, I don't think we really got anything from the main act of it itself, but we did have the Christmas event, so if you didn't get one, I forgot to get one. Get a good LFR like the Mistral Lift, like Briar's Contempt, and stuff like that. Next, I'll cover the raid weapons that we have been reprised, and then Act 3. Now, let's cover quickly episode Act 3 and the raid weapons. When it came to the reprised raid weapons, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think, that everybody should at least try to get a good roll of. Those being the Fatebringer Time Lost. We have been given reprised perks, and when it came to all the VOG weapons, they gave us the best origin trait in the game, that being where when you use your super and it expires, you're doubling your magazine and it'll reload from reserves. It is phenomenal. It's so good. Unbelievably useful, and you'll see why. Next thing, it would be the Praetus Revenge. This is easily the replacement to my Supremacy and has continued to stay my replacement for my Supremacy purely because of the roll precision and kinetic tremors. Thanks to Time Lost Magazine, I don't need rewind rounds, but it does get them, and kinetic tremors does benefit from damage perks. Next up would be the Ancient Gospel and the Reckless Oracle from the Garden of Salvation raid. Photo Inhibition is a good origin trait and is good for dealing with shielded combatants because when you break it, it'll disorient enemies nearby, and especially if it's an energy match shield, it disorients nearby combatants, so if you break a void shield, every enemy nearby breaks alongside it. Ancient Gospel is just the void version of Zuuli's. It's why I really recommend people getting it. Finally, Reckless Oracle is so good because it is a damage perk with a support perk and a damage perk at the same time. One for All does proc from destabilizing rounds, and One for All does help destabilizing rounds by helping you kill quicker and blow up more. Finally, we have Corrective Measure and He's in Vengeance. Corrective Measure is my replacement to my Commemoration, once again because of the magazine, Time Lost Magazine origin trait, and also gives more super energy. So I went with a more ad clear focused build, which is Demoralize, Stabilize. Demoralize is also really good at dealing with elites because if there's a ad near an elite, when you get a headshot, it weakens that target. When it comes to Heathen, oh boy, Heathen is, if not the best rocket in the game, mainly because most people are going to be using well. You pop your well, you get your magazine reloaded. You have Envious Arsenal and Elemental Honing. Elemental Honing at 4 times is the same amount as Bait and Switch, and at 5 times it is 35%, which is a amazing boost in damage. Because of that, you really lose nothing for using Elemental Honing, but lose everything for not using it over Bait and Switch. When it comes to the episode Act 3 weapons, these are my go-to recommendations. Getting a good Adamantite roll for either support and damage, or pure support, or just pure damage. I use Attrition and Reciprocity because I like my support roll. Otherwise, in the kinetic slot, I'd say go for Refusal of the Call. It is a really good glaive, and I actually really like using the thing. I still need to test this roll out, but I think this roll will be my go-to option. This Vorpal and Sword Logic are just... When it comes to the energy weapons, I would still say the Psychopomp with Elemental Envious Arsenal will be the best option for a lot of people because this is a good weapon for damage rotation swapping because it has elemental just like everything else. So if you're on prismatic like most people are nowadays, you already have things like your Transcendent Grenade, which does 2 elements by itself. Your melee is a 3rd element, Psychopomp is a 4th element, and your heavy and kinetic weapon are 2 other elements. You should at least be able to get ×5. Otherwise, go for like a division roll with Bolt Shot, Sword Logic, really good damage perk, really good support perk. And finally, with the heavy weapon, Watchful Eye is really nice. I went with Jolting Overflow and I've stuck with it and stayed with it because I think it is a good in between way of support and damage because the aggressive frames are really powerful already. But if you wanted to, you can go for rolls on the Watchful Eye that have things like Overflow still, because it's still the only mag perk it really has, but you can go for Target Lock, Sword Logic, Killing Tally, Elemental Honing, Rolling Storm if you like that perk, and stuff like that. Now, I didn't cover the reprisal weapons that came with each episode, so let's cover those reprisal weapons, and then any niche weapon you may need to go for. When it comes to the reprised weapons, the first ones we got came with episodes Act 1. That being the Patron of Lost Causes, the Breachlight, the Line in the Sand, the Perfect Paradox, and the Martyr's Retribution. These are old-time classics that were brought back and given to us again with new and reprised perks that may or may not have, well, seen some use or may not have seen some use. It's dependent really on the person. When it comes to the weapon options, you have a good amount of perk combos and a good amount of listings with like each one. When it came to the Perfect Paradox for my Warlock, I went with Trench Barrel Threat Detector because this is a really good in-between roll that you could have for if you're on a support role with tractor and whatnot. Other than that, you can go for the 1-2 punch pugilist role. When it comes to the patron of lost causes, it is another scout rifle that got kinetic tremors. I wish I got a better trait than rapid hit, but I ran out of engrams. It got nothing good. And overall, the cast no shadows order trait ain't the best, but it's really good on the shotgun. Finally, with the breachlight sidearm, we were given demo hatchling, which is my go-to role, but other people may decide on other things like using slice or pugilist or threat detector. When it came to the energy weapons, the only option was Martyr's Retribution. Now this weapon does get heal clip and incandescent. Finally, when it came to the heavy weapon, best arc LFR game, because sadly Storm Chaser kind of fell off hard, and Cell Spy Pitch Glass, which came from Season of the Plunder, now kind of ain't that all that. I went with Bane Switch and Clown Cartridge, which is probably the best in perk combo you can pick. Otherwise, those reprisal weapons aren't my number one go-to option from Episodes Act 1. I'd still say try to make sure you get yourself a Lost Signal and an Aberrant Action. Now let's cover the other reprisal weapons. Now, when it comes to weapons from Episode Act 2 of the Revenant, the reprisal weapons we got were Ignition Code, Grid Skipper, and Sojourner's Tale. To me, none of these were that go-to option, but when it did come to picking at least one of them up, I obviously went for the OG role that everybody loved, which is, well, Ignition Code. I went with Slide Shot and Disorienting. I didn't really care what the fourth column perk was, but I did get Frenzy and I got a Velocity Masterwork. The Ignition Code is one of the most like OG blinding GLs we have in this game and a go-to for many people. I still think it's a good option, but other than that, the other weapons weren't that good or a go-to option, because if I wanted a Void Pulse Rifle, I would have gone with the one we recently got, or I would have just used Graviton. Joxer's Longsword, I would have probably used that. Now I'm going to cover other weapons that you may need to go and try and get before they vanish. Now, when it comes to the exotics that we did get over this season, we were given weapons like Choir of One, Barrow Dyad, and Slayer's Fang. When it comes to those exotics, you should most definitely get them. In the order of what you should probably acquire them would be Choir of One, then Barrow Dyad, purely because while Choir of One is a energy exotic weapon and Barrow Dyad is a kinetic SMG, when it comes to the usage, Choir of One has a much bigger threshold of usability over Barrow Dyad, because Choir of One has that whole thing where it has increased precision damage and also has that shotgun blast variant of it, which just makes it unbelievably powerful. And with the removal of the current artifact that we have, it won't be able to get destabilizing rounds as easy as it can, but if you get all the catalysts, it will be able to get it quite easily and quite quickly, since that is one of the perks it can have. When it comes to the Barrow Dyad, you really should try to get it as well, because it is, if not the best Strand SMG they've given us, purely because of the whole way it works. After you do damage, depending on if you're on the dark or light option of it, or the taken or not taken, I don't really know what it's called off the top of my head anymore, but depending on the variant that you are playing it on, it can either get more from hitting multiple enemies or get less from hitting multiple enemies, because it is built more for single target, and it's completely based on, well, playstyle. So when it comes to the weapon, it is always going to be dependent on what you think. And finally, with Slayer's Fang, it is, if not necessary, but I would still acquire it. It is unbelievably powerful because of the whole ricocheting ability it has. It also has things like stats for all, cascade point, loose changes, and bad. It's got repulsor brace, Choir of One, like I just said. When you get it, you'll be able to get things like destabilizing rounds, onslaught, and subsistence. This is really good. Barrow Dyad, I'd still say you should go for, depending on the one you're running, One for All if you're on the Taken Resolution and not Taken Ambition, and use Target Lock when you're on Taken Ambition. That way you have more damage for the single target. Now let's cover some Grandmaster Nightfall weapons and some dungeon weapons. When it comes to the Grandmaster Nightfall, Rake Angle is really, really good. It's a really nice glaive with Chill Clip and Overflow. It's really nice. Swap Mag and Auxiliary Reserves are really good. Another thing I did forget to mention as well is a SMG that you could get from Banshee if you've done Iron Banner. This multi-mock roll is, if not the best SMG that you can get right now because of the whole kinetic tremors and attrition orb build test. It's really nice, but let's continue. Lotus-Eater. Lotus-Eater is a amazing rocket sidearm. It's a void variant of aberrant action. It may not have heal clip, but it does have destabilizing and repulsor brace, which will give you an overshield when you kill an enemy affected by a debuff. Now remember, it does have to be the weapon that kills it, not destabilizing. Now, the dungeon weapons. Sunder Doctrine is a really good dungeon. It came with a lot of good weapons, like the Unsworn. Unsworn is the only other strand trace rifle in the game outside of Incisor and Navigator. Unsworn has Detonator Beam and Rewind, and a lot of other perks like that, with the origin trait Subjugation. To weak targets, they will explode. Strong targets, they become exhausted. A role that you could go for is the role I have here on the screen, or Detonator Beam and Shoot to Loot, which has its own tech together if you really like using a Shoot to Loot tech, but there are other weapons you could use for that. We have Unloved, which is a heavy burst hand cannon. I have been getting a feel for it. I've heard it's really good with Lucky Pants. I like this role personally because it on headshot will sever nearby targets, and also Hatchling will spawn more kids, which kill a lot of things. It's quite nice. It's very nice, but if you don't like heavy bursts, don't pick it up. When it comes to the energy options, we have Unvoice, which gets Redirection, Frenzy, or Bait and Switch. I like Frenzy, but I really wish I had Bait and Switch. It also gets Elemental Honing. It is a pinpoint slug, and it's really good for damage rotations, especially if you get ads that you've killed with it. Finally, we have Unworthy. It is a rapid fire scout rifle. Pick it up if you like it. To me, this role isn't bad. I like precision instrument. I like rewind rounds. We've had scout rifle be anti-barrier a lot, so this is a really good option for anti-barrier if it comes back around to being this as an anti-barrier option. Otherwise, you can probably skip it, but I'd still say have one of every element of a scout rifle in case that does happen. Now, I'll cover any outliers and anything else that you should possibly get. Now, what I should have said is I meant to mean the weapons that we're getting from the current Rite of the Nine. When it comes to the Rite of the Nine, we will be able to have all 3 dungeons be open next week. Next week being June the 17th, which is when we should be able to see all of them. And then later into July, we'll be getting every single, We'll be getting every single like weapon be able to be focused from like where you did Rite of the Nine, I think is where that was. No, Trials of the Nine, where you do Trials of the Nine, and then you'll be able to get special reward drops. Now, when it comes to weapons that I recommend getting from there, it's very specific on how your playstyle is, but these are my go-to options. I'd say get a Judgment for PvP and PvE. For me, I like my Rhyme Seal and Headstone because, well, it's a good stasis combination. As you can tell, I really do like using it. And it's also shiny adept. Next up, I'd say the New Pacific Epitaph. While Wayframes did fall out, the whole Gravity Well perk that all these weapons get, which is reloading this weapon will gather nearby ammo, is quite nice. And New Pacific Epitaph reintroduction now has chain reaction and demo, but I also have a role with recycled energy, and hopefully they fix that because recycled energy be really, really nice. When it comes to the energy weapons, there are three go-to options. Apologies. No Survivors, which is a solar SMG that does get in cannon heal clip, so it is like it is an aggressive version of the Callus mini tool, which to me is my go-to option, but this is a very good replacement if you do not have it. But if you were able to get it, do try to get the Callus mini tool as well, which is a little side note, because the Callus mini tool is a really good solar SMG, and hopefully they give SMGs in general a little help. They're struggling. Next up is the Sudden Death. Sudden Death is one of the only shotguns that gets Trench Barrel and 1-2 punch, but you can also go for Discord Redirection, so you can get free redirection shots, because Discord, when you get a kill with another weapon, just lets you keep shooting as long as you get a kill with it. Otherwise, try to go for a 1-2 punch and Trench Barrel roll, which is really, really good. Next up will be Wilder Flight. This is used for damage rotations, things with, well, envious weapons. I use this with Bane Switch and Envious Arsenal, Spike Nades, and Linear Compensator, so that kind of just flies nice. Countermass is really good as well. I went with handling on it just so it swaps faster, but if you don't want to get it, you don't have to get it. It's just a niche pick. Finally, when it comes to the heavy weapons, there are only 2. Terminus Horizon is it's trying to be a replacement for Watchful Eye, but I don't think it will be. It's really good with Jolting Feedback and Reconstruction, but you could also go for damage perks in its column, things like Precision or Target Lock. You could also use Envious if you like. It's up to the person, or you can go Killing Tally Dragonfly. Finally, with Cold Comfort. Cold Comfort is just a stasis variant of the Heathen. When it comes to this thing, I'd still say we're going to stick with the Restoration Ritual. Elemental Honing and Bane's Envious Arsenal are really nice. It also gets Reconstruction, also gets Bane Switch, it gets Chill Clip. All these perk combos are really good options. Pick up whatever you need and stick with it there. Other than that, I can't really think of any other weapons that you may want to pick up outside of like exotics you still need, or just weapons that you may think you need that are just your playstyle. Like all the weapons from Onslaught, which are still available, like at Transit and all that, you should at least try to get a roll of and pick it up. They're really strong, really powerful, and I hope everybody has what they need going into Edge of Fate. Hope this guide helps you out on what weapons you may need.